Realism emerged as a new way for representing and experiencing everyday life. As it replaced Romanticism, realism favored life in actuality rather than how Romantics were in constant search for the exotic and the sublime. Realism emerged in the 1840s and dominated Western culture and style into the 1890s. Realist writers believed that literature should depict life exactly as it was. Realists also focused all their time to extreme observation of everyday life. Realism emerged of the middle class, and it began in France. Realism, although it began in France, spread to other parts of the world, such as England, Russia, and the United States. From France, there were three major realists. Those names were Zola, Balzac, and Flaubert. Émile Zola was most famous for his seamy, animalistic view of the working-class life, but he also wrote griping, carefully researched stories featuring the stock exchange, the army, and the big department store. Zola even sympathized with socialism. Honoré de Balzac spent 30 years writing a vastly ambitious panorama of post-revolutionary French life. Known collectively as the Human Comedy, this series of nearly 100 books vividly portrays more than 2,000 characters from virtually all sectors of French society. Balzac pictures urban society as grasping, amoral, and brutal. Madame Bovary in 1857, the masterpiece of Gustave Flaubert, is far narrower in scope than Balzac's work but unparalleled in its depth and accuracy of psychological insight. Without moralizing, Flaubert portrays the provincial middle class as petty, smug, and hypocritical. In England, Mary Ann Evans, who wrote under the pen name George Eliot, brilliantly achieved a more deeply felt, less sensational kind of realism. Her great novel, Middlemarch, A Study of Provincial Life, examines masterfully the ways in which people are shaped by their social medium, as well as their own inner strivings, conflicts, and moral choices. Thomas Hardy was more in the Zola tradition. His novels, such as Tess of the D'Urbervilles in 1891 and The Return of the Native in 1878, depict men and women frustrated and crushed by fate and bad luck. The greatest Russian realist, Count Leo Tolstoy, combined realism and description and character development with an atypical moralizing, which came to dominate his later work. Tolstoy went to great pains to develop his fatalistic theory of history, which regards free will as an illusion and the achievements of even the greatest leaders as only the channeling of historical necessity. Thoroughgoing realism arrived late in the United States, most arrestingly in the work of Theodore Dreiser. His first novel, Sister Carrie, so outraged conventional morality that the publisher withdrew the book. The United States subsequently became a bastion of literary realism in the 20th century after the movement had faded away in Europe. Inequality was a favorite theme of realist novelists such as Balzac and Zola. More generally, literary realism reflected Western society's growing faith in science, material progress, and evolutionary thinking.
Created using Powtoon.